Hi, I'm Sean Ward, and this is the death penalty in black and white. So, first, I'll introduce you to the arguments supporting the death penalty. And this is an argument that seems legitimate on the surface, but then together we'll start to dig deeper. So, this argument for the death penalty is progressed by three basic points. Number one is that the death penalty saves citizens money because it's cheaper than keeping these criminals in prisons. Number two is that the death penalty acts as a deterrent for criminals because of the consequence of death that they face. And number three is that those who receive the death penalty are the worst of the worst and need to be cleaned off the streets. So I'll begin today with the economic argument for the death penalty. So when we investigate this claim, we find that it's simply not true. In fact, the Loyola School of Law performed a study that found that California has spent over $4 billion on the death penalty since it was reinstated in 1978. This makes the death penalty 20 times more expensive than life without parole. So now let's do some fast math. If we saw similar spending from the rest of the 31 states that still have the death penalty legalized, that makes $4 billion times 31 gives us a grand total of $124 billion spent on the death penalty. To put that into perspective, the United Nations estimated that the cost of ending world hunger to be only $30 billion a year. So that means that without the death penalty, the US could have fed all the hungry people on Earth for 4 years. So next, I'll tackle the argument that the death penalty deters criminals from murder for fear of the consequences. This statement we find as the first just to hold no weight. So here's what we find. The top 10 states in murder rates are listed in order below. Now, here are the states of the same list with the death penalty still in place. So what we would expect is that fewer states with the death penalty would have high murder rates. But what we find is that states with the death penalty dominate this list, accounting for 7 out of 10 states. So you can call me crazy, but I don't think the death penalty is deterring anyone. So finally, let's consider the last argument, that those receiving the death penalty are the worst of the worst. So to take on this argument, we have to ask ourselves a much deeper question. Is our justice system perfect? And the answer is a resounding no. Don't get me wrong, our justice system is revolutionary and incredible and fair, but it's a system run by humans who inherently make mistakes. In fact, since 1978, 156 people have been released from death row. The court said, hey, we made a mistake, you aren't going to die now, to 156 people. And if you don't think that's a lot, I challenge you to invite 156 of your friends to your home this weekend and clean up the mess they make. So these 156 people spent on average 11.3 years on death row. Consider the story of Juan Melendez, who was convicted of murder in Florida in 1983 despite no physical evidence. Juan spoke little to no English and was given no translator at his trial. After 17 years on death row, Juan was released after a taped confession from the real murderer arose. Juan was given $100 and a pat on the back for his trouble. So this is real. This happens. We have a flawed system, and that's okay, but you can't decide life or death with a flawed system. We can always say, hey, we messed up and release someone from prison, but we can never release someone from the grave. This injustice demands our attention. The death